What a report shows is that the cost of living crisis is going to cause household spending to be eroded by about £65 billion over the space of about 30 months. We're about 3/4 of the way through the cost of living crisis, so we expect that to continue into the beginning of next year. And it's going to cause quite difficult headwinds facing the sector. So consumers are looking to trade down, to delay their purchases, and also cancel some purchases altogether to try to manage their budgets more effectively. So against the backdrop of softer consumer demand, retailers are going to have to work really hard to try to persuade consumers to show some loyalty to their brands. So what our report shows is that there's about half of consumers that are looking to cut back on non-discretionary purchases. And so they're looking to try to manage their budgets and look at areas of spending where they can essentially cut back or delay or trade down to cheaper alternatives. So as we look towards the future and we look at the potential of rising interest rates, what that's likely to do is capture a wider proportion of households in that kind of middle income group. So actually the intensity of cutback is likely to be more severe than what we saw last year. And it's the type of households that are going to be captured that's changed over the last few months. One of the findings from our research shows that there's about 1/3 of consumers that are looking to switch brands or switch retailers to try to look at more kind of budget options. And so retailers are going to have to work hard at promoting their value proposition. At the moment, consumers are making these trade-offs between lower costs for a lesser experience or lower cost for potentially a more inconvenient experience. And so retailers and brands need to pivot their proposition, put value at the very heart of that, and also adapt their marketing, their communication to try to get through that kind of empathetic messaging to consumers to align to their expectations of the challenges that they face. So what we expect to see is a bit of a polarization in terms of spending. And so there's a group of households, typically more affluent households, that are essentially kind of financially immune. They have an expectation of a kind of keep calm, carry on, the cost of living crisis hasn't really affected the way that they spend. For retailers and hospitality and consumer sector more generally, it's really important to recognise your customers. Recognise there's potentially a cohort within your core customer group that are a bit more defensible. So being able to use data to create innovative segmentations and be able to segment customers around profitability to really try to drive that messaging is an effective strategy that can be adopted. What we've seen throughout the pandemic is that there's a huge shift towards online. And while the retrenchment back towards stores has probably happened faster and deeper than many of us were expecting because of the cost of living crisis, one of the things that has remained is the impact and influence of digital that's been felt across all stages of the customer journey. So for retailers and consumers, they're embracing digital more to try to inform their decision making. And so it's really important for retailers to try to merge digital and physical channels together to try to create that seamless journey where consumers can unconsciously bounce between these different channels on the path of least resistance towards the goods that they design.